Chapter 1, Heartbeat Accelerating. It took me 3 days to finally accept that I had transmigrated into a novel. I was now the fake heiress in the same story I was binge reading right before I died from exhaustion. Alistair? Alistair Graves, I exclaimed, my face lighting up with delighted surprise as I saw the man walk out of the apartment next door. Ah, who can even understand this, people? The only reason I pulled an all-nighter to finish that book was to find out who Alistair Graves ended up marrying. And, of course, how he died so young. To see the heartthrob from a fictional world suddenly appear before me, alive and breathing. Well, excuse me while I fangirl. Unfortunately, Alistair Graves had no idea who I was. He was a complete workaholic. Without even a glance in my direction, he clutched his briefcase and settled into a black Rolls-Royce Phantom. Even the exhaust fumes as it sped away smelled fragrant. Oh, my goodness. Transmigrating has given me a new goal in life. I'm going to marry Alistair Graves, and by this time next year, I'll be inheriting his massive fortune. To get his attention, I started a campaign of good mornings and good nights, frequently delivering homemade soup and late-night snacks. Before my untimely death, I was the queen of sleeping in. But to make Alistair notice me, I started waking up at 5 every morning to join him on his run. A month later, my slightly curvy figure was gone, replaced by a tiny, wasp-like waist and milky white skin. Alistair, I think you're missing a wife. How about me? I waited eagerly at his door, putting on my most innocent and well-behaved expression. My inner voice, however, was screaming, "Ah, what a perfect wolf in sheep's clothing." I want to unbutton his shirt, but I want to touch his 8-pack abs even more. Alistair shot me a sidelong glance and walked into his apartment. He didn't close the door. To me, that was a clear invitation to a romantic dinner for two. Alistair was a notorious neat freak. The first thing he did upon returning home was take a shower. Resisting the urge to peek, I dashed into his kitchen and skillfully started preparing dinner. The way to a man's heart is through his stomach. Before I died, I was a senior nutritionist after all. From what I'd gathered so far, he preferred milder flavors and loved seafood. Soon enough, by the time Alistair finished his shower, dinner was ready. Try it. What do you think? I stood by the dining table like I was presenting a treasure, my face a mask of perfect innocence. Only I knew the lewd fantasies swirling beneath it. He smells so good. What brand of body wash does he use? I really want to kiss him. It's a shame he only has 11 months left to live. The only thing I can do now is be good to him before he dies. Alistair suddenly looked up. Lost in my daydreams, I froze. What's wrong? Does it not taste good? He stared at me with an expression of disbelief and shock. You're interested in me? Yes, of course I promise I'll be a virtuous and gentle wife. I'll take care of your every need, and I'll even take care of your cat. He was the epitome of a cold and ascetic god, yet he owned a fluffy, adorable Persian cat. Get out. His words felt like a slap. I wanted to cry. My inner voice was having a meltdown. This is so humiliating, my very first marriage proposal, and I get rejected just like that. Sob, Alistair, darling, you're breaking my heart. I sniffled and started to walk away. Then, I heard Alistair's voice again from behind me. I meant get changed, we're going to the courthouse. What? The courthouse? He agreed to marry me? I'm going to pounce on him tonight. I have to get my fill before he's gone. After all, I've been craving his body for more than a day or two. I was over the moon. I specifically chose a long, red slip dress for the occasion. On the way to the courthouse, I couldn't control myself. I just stared at his face, completely smitten. Alistair, darling, has such thin, perfectly shaped lips. They look so kissable. His eyes are so dark and bright, I just want to blindfold them. His Adam's apple is huge. Hey, is Alistair, darling, blushing? How cute. Cora Kane? Alistair exclaimed, his face a picture of shock. I then noticed we had arrived at the courthouse. I got out of the car, acting all prim and proper, and followed behind him. My inner voice piped up again. He's so handsome. I really want to give his butt a squeeze. Alistair, walking in front of me, suddenly stopped. I didn't react in time and bumped my forehead right into his back. Alistair, darling, I didn't do it on purpose. You're not mad, are you? I said, but my inner thought was, I hate that the time and place are wrong. Otherwise, I could have gotten a good squeeze. At that moment, I still had no idea that Alistair could hear my inner thoughts. I was too busy fantasizing about all the ways I could pin him down. Ahem, cough, cough. Under the bright daylight, Alistair seemed to have developed a fever. He couldn't stop coughing. On the surface, I was the picture of tranquility. My mind, however, was a storm of dirty thoughts. Wow, Alistair, darling, has such a prominent nose. He must be really impressive in other areas. Cora Kane, we're going home. The moment we had the marriage certificate in hand, Alistair dragged me away. He seemed angry. I blinked, confused. Look at what a gentle and quiet wife I am. How can he get angry just like that? This is the kind of thing that can only be fixed with a strawberry cake. The Black Phantom, which had been speeding along, suddenly pulled over. Alistair got out and walked into a bakery on the side of the road. Me? A moment later, he returned with my favorite strawberry cake. I was ecstatic, but as I was eating, I froze. Wait a minute. How did Alistair know I liked strawberry cake? A coincidence? Impossible. He was just angry a second ago. There's no way a coincidence would lead him to suddenly think of buying a cake. And not just any cake, but my favorite kind. Could it be that he can hear my thoughts? It wasn't entirely out of the question. After all, if someone like me could transmigrate after dying from overwork, anything was possible. To test my theory, I put down the strawberry cake and thought to myself, la la la, I'm finally married to Alistair, darling. I'm his legal wife now. Shouldn't we get a pair of matching wedding rings? It's a marriage, a once-in-a-lifetime thing. We have to buy wedding rings. Besides rings, I also want matching couples' pajamas. One set isn't enough, we need at least 5. And matching slippers, toothbrushes, and mugs. That should be enough for now. If Alistair takes me to a mall and buys exactly these things, it will prove he can hear my thoughts. Do you have any plans for later? Alistair asked, turning to look at me as he drove. I instinctively shook my head. And no, nothing. Good. I was startled. Don't tell me we're really going to the mall. Half an hour later, the Black Phantom parked in front of Port Sterling's largest and most famous shopping mall. My heart pounded. What are we doing here? Have you ever seen a married couple not buy rings? Alistair said coolly. He got out of the car and walked ahead. Noticing I was struggling to keep up, he deliberately slowed his pace. I took a deep breath, trying to convince myself it was just a coincidence. After all, he hadn't bought the matching toothbrushes and pajamas yet, so it didn't prove anything. Oh, okay, right? I stammered, feeling incredibly anxious. Alistair extended his large hand. Was this an invitation to hold hands, to interlace our fingers? I shyly reached out my small hand. Alistair's hand was large and warm, his palm dry. His fingers were long and slender with well-defined knuckles, just like the book described far better than any hand model. Our first stop was a jewelry store. Alistair spoke directly to the sales associate. We want the best wedding rings you have, matching sets. The calm I had just managed to find vanished in an instant. Pick a pair, Alistair said. My palms were sweating with nervousness. Any pair is fine. In that case, we'll take one of each, Alistair declared with a wave of his hand. After paying, he gave them an address for delivery. Next was the department store. Alistair proceeded to pick out, in order, matching toothbrushes, matching mugs, and matching slippers. With each item he chose, my heart beat twice as fast. It's over, it's over. All that was left was the couple's pajamas. If he picks out exactly 5 sets, wouldn't that mean? The thought of all my previous fantasies about him made me want to find a hole to crawl into. Just then, I heard Alistair's deep voice say to the clerk, all of those sets of couple's pajamas. We'll take them all. 5 sets in total. Standing beside him, I was utterly and completely stunned. He could actually hear my thoughts. Chapter 2, you asked for this on the way back. I sat there, stunned as a wooden chicken. Seriously, what kind of situation was this? I had just become the wife of the brooding CEO destined for an early death. If he found out my real reason for marrying him, then, I got out of the car, filled with apprehension and unease. Adopting a damned if I do, damned if I don't mentality, I let my inner voice speak up again. I really wish Alistair, darling, would give me a hug. 1 minute, 2 minutes, an hour passed, and Alistair showed no reaction. So, was the shopping mall just a coincidence after all? A wave of relief washed over me. It would be great if Alistair, darling, would kiss me right now. Still no reaction. I want to shower with Alistair, darling, and then have a 10-minute long French kiss in the bathroom. Under the pretext of bringing him coffee, I got close to observe his expression. His attention was completely focused on his computer screen. He didn't even notice me approaching. I blinked. Alistair, darling, can we please not have a meeting? We're a married couple now. We should be in the bedroom doing naughty things. Alistair was still in the middle of a serious meeting. Well, that was a close call. I almost scared myself to death. It turned out he couldn't hear my thoughts after all. I let out a quiet sigh of relief. As I hummed a little tune and headed into the bathroom, I had no idea that Alistair, who had been stone-faced all evening, had a sports watch on his wrist that was showing his heart rate skyrocketing to 150. The hand he was using to control the mouse had slipped several times. His deep-set eyes were fixed on the bathroom door, a fierce storm brewing within them. I had a wonderful night's sleep. The next morning, when I heard Alistair leave for his morning run, I just rolled over instead of getting up to join him as I usually did. HMPH. I'm his legal wife now. Why should yours truly keep trying so hard? From today on, no more effort. I'll just wait for Alistair Graves to kick the bucket, and then I can inherit his estate. La la la, only 320 days left. How should I spend his hundreds of billions? As I lay in bed plotting my future spending spree, the bedroom door suddenly slammed open. It wasn't even 6 o'clock yet, but Alistair, who usually exercised until 6:30, was back early. I froze. Before I could react, Alistair was standing by the bed. Get up, huh? I blinked, completely bewildered. Alistair was furious, his face as cold as a tombstone. He threw out a rigid command, "You're coming to the company with me today. You'll start with cleaning, what?" I was dumbfounded. Cleaning? I chased after him barefoot, determined to get an explanation. Leaving aside the fact that I wasn't even an employee, I was his wife. The CEO of a major corporation was making his wife work as a janitor. I wasn't afraid of getting dirty, but wasn't he afraid of the embarrassment? Courtship, if you don't want to do it, we can get a divorce, Alistair shot back. I was so choked up I could barely breathe. I'll do it, who said I don't want to? Not only do I want to, I'm more than happy to do it, damn it. In the most recent Forbes Global Billionaires list, this guy was number 1 again. There was no way I was going to argue with money. And just like that, I became one of the cleaners at the Graves Group. I thought I would be cleaning the bathrooms for the entire building, scrubbing toilets, mopping floors, all the dirty work. To my surprise, my only duty was to take care of Alistair's private lounge. I guess he has some conscience after all. Since he's being decent about it, I'll be sure to burn plenty of paper money for him after he's dead, so he can continue to be a rich man in the afterlife. What the hell? I have to wash his underwear too, my eyes widened like saucers. As someone who had been single her whole life, I was all talk and no action. I had zero practical experience, and now I was supposed to wash a man's undergarments. I was very reluctant. Alistair appeared out of nowhere. If you don't want to wash them, we can get a divorce. Ah, that line again. This is what it feels like to have your weakness exploited. Good thing he's a short-lived ghost. I'll endure it. I washed them, gritting my teeth. Afterward, when I tried to eat something, I felt like my hands were permanently dirty, no matter how many times I washed them. To distract myself, I took a break and started scrolling through live streams. Oh my, a 61 guy with abs, so handsome, so hot. I want to touch. Must send a gift, whoa, a cutesy-voiced e-boy, his voice is so good it could get you pregnant. Send a gift, let him call me sis. A few times shocking, there's also a hip-thrusting hunk, he's my type too. Ah, just as I was frantically tapping the like button, eager to see the hunk show off his electric motor hips, a shadow fell over me. Hey, move, you're blocking the light? I didn't have time to look up, my fingers flying across the screen. The way I was staring at the hunk on the live stream, I was practically drooling. Just then, Alistair's voice cut through. Courtship, my body jolted. I looked up and saw not only Alistair standing in front of me, but also several of his suited subordinates behind him, all craning their necks to see what I was doing. I was just about to mop. I'll go mop right now. I grabbed the mop and fled. After a frenzy of cleaning, I finally got the lounge spotless. I found an empty corner and was about to continue watching videos when Alistair came in. It was already dark outside. I thought he might be hungry. I quickly hid my phone, about to ask him what he wanted to eat, when Alistair started taking off his suit jacket and walked towards me. With a powerful tug, he ripped open his well-made white shirt, revealing his firm, well-defined 8-pack abs. And they were right in front of me. My God, his skin was a healthy tan color, and it was glistening with sweat. This scene, tusk, I shamelessly gulped. How could I control myself? My hands moved on their own, reaching out to touch him. Oh my God, the feel of it, this body. It was so tempting, so incredibly tempting. Aren't you going to make dinner? Alistair covered himself with his shirt, and my view was gone, but the sensation on my hands lingered. Ah, that felt so good. It's a shame his life is so short. A body this good shouldn't go to waste. I'm going to devour him tonight. Alistair was a lightweight. Half a glass of wine would knock him out. Under the guise of removing the gamey taste from the meat, I poured a generous amount of high-proof white liquor into the pot. 6 dishes and 1 soup. I did the same for every single one. A few bites, and he'd definitely be drunk. To coax him into eating more, I turned on the charm. Alistair, darling, you've gotten so thin lately. You should eat more. Alistair, darling, are there any wishes you have? Just tell me, and I'll do my best to fulfill them. I rested my chin on my hand, my face a mask of adoration. 300 days left. Ah, just 300 more days of endurance, and I'll become the youngest super-rich woman in history. By then, I can have any man I want, the guy with glasses, the one with abs, the younger guy, the ascetic type, the wild boy type, the brooding CEO type. A life of indulgence rivaling an empress. Ha. I couldn't hold it in and burst out laughing. The moment our eyes met, the triumphant look on my face was directly proportional to the darkness on Alistair's. The way he was looking at me, you'd think I had just desecrated his family's graves. What are you looking at? Haven't you ever seen a beautiful woman before? Make me cry if you dare. You wouldn't dare, would you? I knew you were a coward. Cora Kane, you asked for this, I let out a yelp. By the time I realized what was happening, Alistair had already thrown me over his shoulder. He was striding towards the bedroom. Holy crap, is he going to force himself on me? Chapter 3. Hooked. Honestly, he didn't need to use force. He was the male lead of the novel, handsome and well-built. Apart from his short lifespan, he was top tier in every other aspect. Faced with such an outstanding man, my heart began to pound. I was genuinely flustered, not out of fear, but out of nervousness. To hide my anxiety, I took the initiative, wrapping my arms around Alistair's neck and kissing him without a second thought. Ah, when our lips touched, it felt like an electric current shot through me. So this is what chemistry feels like, tingly and itchy. His lips are a little cold, but they're so soft, so nice to kiss. And his body? It's hard all over, I can't get enough of it. I couldn't help but let out a shy moan. As if remembering something, Alistair suddenly pushed me away and walked out. Me? What? What the hell was that? He gets me all worked up and then just leaves? Heartless bastard. Furious, I lay on the bed. I had planned to kill time by scrolling through videos, but with every hot guy I saw, Alistair's image would flash in my mind. Whatever, his face isn't as good as Alistair's. Swipe. These abs are fake. No comparison to Alistair's. Swipe. I scrolled through a few more, all of whom were types I had previously saved and liked. Now, they just annoyed me. I must be going crazy. I tossed my phone aside and forced myself to sleep. I did fall asleep, but my dreams were filled with Alistair. When I woke up the next morning, I felt an incredible sense of emptiness. To make matters worse, Alistair had been leaving early and coming back late recently. He would still be out when I fell asleep, and he'd be gone by the time I woke up, which only intensified my craving for him. It got to the point where even seeing a random man on the street would make me subconsciously think of Alistair. On the evening of Valentine's Day, I heard Alistair come home. As if possessed, I waited for him to go into the bathroom to shower, then tiptoed into the bedroom and hid in the closet. Even if I couldn't sleep with him, just getting a feel would be enough. Peeking through the crack in the closet door, I finally saw Alistair walk out of the bathroom. He hadn't noticed me. His tall figure stood before the mirror, broad-shouldered and narrow-waisted, as he dried his hair. I was practically drooling. Ah, Alistair, darling, is only wearing a towel. I so want to rip it off him. The next moment, Alistair actually started to pull at the towel. Ah, turn around, I want to see the front. As if by magic, Alistair actually turned around. At that moment, my attention was so focused on Alistair's body that I completely missed his beet red ears. All I could think about was getting a better look. Unfortunately, I only got a 2-second glimpse before he started getting dressed. My interest began to wane, but Alistair's style was the brooding, ascetic CEO type. I got excited again. Black trousers, a white shirt, a baseball cap, and a mask, the perfect combination of ascetic and mysterious. Alistair stood in front of the full-length mirror. He reached for a mask and actually put it on. He even did a little spin in front of the mirror. Click, click, click. He took a few selfies. Just when I thought he was going to bed, he started changing again. This time, it was a gentle, pretty boy look. Then came a friendly, casual style, a roguishly handsome look, and a pure, college senior vibe. Holy crap, he has this kind of fetish. Having gotten a taste of the good stuff, I hid in the closet again the next night, and my understanding of him was once again refreshed. Tonight, Alistair not only changed outfits frequently, but he also danced in front of the mirror. He started with a viral TikTok dance. Tusk, tusk, those long legs wrapped in black trousers, and that powerful waist, his hips thrusting like a little motor. It's over, it's over. Tonight's dreams are going to be filled with indescribable scenes again. This peeping Tom life only lasted for half a month. It wasn't because Alistair stopped changing clothes and dancing. It was because I didn't dare to watch anymore. I was afraid I would die from sheer, unfulfilled desire. Just seeing Alistair was enough to give me a nosebleed. I was dying to pounce on him every single day, but he always had a cold expression on his face, a do-not-approach aura about him. Forget seducing him. Just getting close was enough to give me frostbite. Jiggy, what should I do? I whined, lying listlessly on the sofa. Jiggy Zimmerman was the original Cora's best friend. It was under her influence that the original Cora had developed a habit of lusting after men's bodies. Jiggy immediately sent me an address. "Get over here, quick. I'll show you a good time," she giggled. Right now, I was so obsessed with Alistair that I didn't even want to scroll through videos anymore. I quickly hailed a cab and went over. Well, it was a high-end lounge. In a luxurious private room, Jiggy had ordered 8 handsome VIP hosts and was watching them show off their individual charms. "Cora, come on, instead of thinking about that iceberg, you should cherish the present and enjoy some professional services," Jiggy said, pointing to a particularly sweet-looking one and telling him to entertain me. The pretty boy was very skilled. As he massaged my shoulders, he got closer and closer. "Miss, have a grape," he bit off half and offered me the other half from his mouth. In the past, I would have jumped at such an opportunity, but now I just felt irritated. "Jiggy, I'm heading back." "You have fun," I said, hastily leaving the lounge. On the cab ride home, I suddenly had a realization. I was addicted to Alistair Graves. I wasn't interested in any man but him. Was I falling in love with him? I froze as I got out of the cab. No, impossible. Absolutely impossible. Alistair only has 260 days left to live. If I fall in love with him, what will I do for the rest of my life? As soon as I walked in the door, the scene before me made my anger flare up. Alistair was drunk, slumped on the sofa with his shirt half open. The woman feeding him honey water was none other than the real heiress from the novel, Jade Nightingale. The day she was found by the Nightingale family, she framed the fake heiress, Cora, for harming her. Cora, unable to clear her name, jumped into a river in despair, which gave me the chance to transmigrate. The fake heiress and I shared the same name, Cora Kane. I, the legal wife, wasn't dead yet, and Jade Nightingale dared to make a move on my husband. It was time to settle old and new scores. I immediately took out my phone, started a live stream, and said to Jade, "Miss Nightingale, what are your intentions, showing up next to my husband late at night, dressed like that?" Jade had no idea I was streaming. She shot me a contemptuous glance and sneered. "Cora Kane, have you no shame? Alistair and I have known each other since we were children. Not to mention, the Graves and Nightingale families have always intended for us to marry. Do you really think a man like him would marry an imposter like you? You little tart, he is the man I, Jade Nightingale, have chosen. I don't care what your relationship with him is, just get lost. Otherwise, I'll have you thrown in jail again, just like last time. Even if you're innocent, you won't escape my grasp." Jade Nightingale had built her entire celebrity persona on being kind. Her words just now completely shattered the public's perception of her in the live stream chat. She then raised her hand, looking like she was about to throw the water at me. But just then, Alistair's eyes fluttered open. Jade quickly changed her move, splashing the water on herself instead. "Alistair, it was my fault. I was clumsy. Please don't blame Cora." The previously aggressive Jade was now gentle and magnanimous, her pitiful appearance designed to be utterly captivating. The viewers in the livestream who had witnessed everything erupted in a chorus of curses. I quietly ended the stream. I wanted to see if Alistair would believe me or this little tart he had known since childhood. Chapter 4. Alistair Graves, wake up in my heart. I was absolutely certain that Alistair would believe me. There were 2 reasons for this. First, I was his legal wife. He had no history of scandals, and in the past few months, he had treated me well. If he wasn't going to be good to me, would he be good to some other woman? Second, he was intelligent. I didn't believe for a second that Alistair couldn't see through Jade's flimsy excuse. Therefore, I looked at her with righteous indignation, waiting for her to be thrown out. Just then, Alistair spoke. "Apologize, see? I knew he believed me." Without a second thought, I turned to Jade and said, "Did you hear that? Apologize to me right now, and then get the hell out of here." This body held so much hatred for Jade Nightingale that I couldn't stand the sight of her for another second. Jade, a master of playing the victim, immediately reddened her eyes. Before she could speak, Alistair added, "Cora Kane, I was telling you to apologize to her." "What?" My eyes widened. Has Alistair Graves lost his mind, or did he forget that I'm his wife? He's actually telling me to apologize to Jade Nightingale. She's the one who killed the original Cora. I can't believe he's such a blind, heartless bastard. After he kicks the bucket, he can forget about me burning extra paper money for him. He can be a pauper in the afterlife for all I care. The esteemed Miss Jade Nightingale, I am so sorry. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have interrupted you while you were seducing my husband. Please forgive me. I only forced myself to apologize through gritted teeth, because I didn't want to hear Alistair say, "Apologize, or we'll get a divorce again." So, in Alistair Graves's heart, no matter how much I do as his wife, it will never be as important as the childhood friend he grew up with. Fine. I'll just consider all my efforts from this period as having been fed to the dogs. I turned to go upstairs. "Come back," Alistair's voice was icy. "We're going to have a late-night snack." I stopped in my tracks, looking at him in disbelief. Had his soul been possessed? I could tolerate the apology, but now he wanted me to wait on this witch, Jade, like a maid. The book clearly stated he was a gentleman. Cora Kane, what are you standing there for? Hurry up and make us something to eat. Alistair and I don't eat spicy food. We prefer our meals light, Jade said smugly. I didn't know whether to call her clever or stupid for so easily revealing her weakness. Fine. I sneered and strode into the kitchen. They want light-flavored food? Not happening. They can't handle spice. I poured the entire bottle of chili powder into the pan. I hope it burns their mouths off. Eat up, I said, standing by with cold eyes, inviting them to enjoy their meal. To hide the chili, I added tomatoes to every dish. After just one bite, Jade's eyes were watering from the spice. "Cora Kane, are you trying to kill me with spice?" I just blinked and said nothing. After chugging a glass of water, Jade saw that Alistair was still eating and asked in shock, "Alistair, you don't find it spicy?" Suddenly, Alistair's head slumped to the side and he collapsed next to the dining table. Me. Jade shrieked, "Cora Kane, you're so cruel you dared to poison Alistair if anything happens to him. You just wait." Jade called for an ambulance. It arrived quickly. A paramedic gave a preliminary diagnosis. The patient has been poisoned. The situation is critical. Quick, back to the hospital for emergency treatment. The medical team scrambled to get Alistair onto a stretcher and into the ambulance. As the ambulance sped away with its sirens blaring, I stared blankly at the late-night snack on the table. I picked up a pair of serving chopsticks, about to taste it to see what was going on, when a ding sounded in my head. "Host, don't eat it, it's poisoned, get to the hospital, quickly." Me? The system continued. Jade Nightingale is going to create a medical accident to make Alistair's death look like an accident so she can seize his assets. Hurry up and stop her. Confused, I rushed out the door. That's not right. Alistair is supposed to have 8 months left to live. How could he die now? Besides, even if he did die now, I'm the one who should legally inherit his estate. How could it possibly go to Jade? The system replied smugly, My dear host, if she's capable of orchestrating a medical accident, do you really think she wouldn't have prepared a forged will in advance? My heart sank. That's right. Even though I'm Alistair's wife, if there's a will stating that his assets are to be given to someone else, I won't get a thing. I absolutely cannot let Jade succeed. Even if I can't inherit Alistair's estate in the end, I can't just stand by and watch him die a miserable death as I jumped out of the car and rushed into the hospital. My worry for Alistair was so intense that I didn't notice the dull ache in my own chest. I only heard the system say, "Host, you must legally inherit the estate to be able to take it back to your original world. Your gravely ill grandmother is still waiting for you, me. That's great, I can actually take the inheritance back to my world." I immediately called Jiggy Zimmerman. Jiggy's father was the director of this hospital. With him personally performing the surgery, even if Jade had bribed the attending physician, there was no way Alistair would die on the operating table. I paced back and forth in the hallway, waiting and waiting. 2 hours later, Jiggy's father emerged from the operating room. "Don't worry, he's fine." "Dr. Zimmerman, thank you." I was moved to tears and bowed deeply to him. "When can I see him?" Dr. Zimmerman glanced at his watch. "After sunrise." At 8 in the morning, I did see Alistair, but he was still unconscious from the general anesthesia. Jade Nightingale was in the room, watching over him. When she saw me, a vicious look immediately crossed her face. "Cora Kane, I didn't expect you to be so resourceful. Do you think you're safe now?" she said, clapping her hands. 2 uniformed police officers appeared at the door of the hospital room. "Are you Cora Kane? We've received a report that you are suspected of poisoning and attempting to murder Mr. Alistair Graves. Please come with us," one of them said, taking out a pair of handcuffs. My breath caught in my throat. It was obvious they had been bribed by Jade. If I was taken away now, I would be silenced forever, with no one to testify on my behalf. This was exactly how Jade had driven the original Cora to her death. Jade was so vicious. After her plan to frame Alistair failed, she turned around and bit me instead. "It wasn't me, I didn't poison him, you can't do this to me," I shouted, hoping to wake Alistair. He remained motionless on the hospital bed. Jade's smugness grew. She calmly took out her phone, displaying the picture of me adding chili powder in the kitchen. She sneered, "This is the evidence. With both a witness and physical proof, Cora Kane, you can't escape." As the officer approached with the handcuffs, I opened my mouth to shout again, but one of them covered my mouth and warned, "Cora Kane, you'd better come with us quietly. Otherwise, don't blame us for getting rough." I glared at them, my eyes wide. In that moment, I wished more than anything that Alistair could hear my thoughts. "Alistair Graves, wake up please. Wake up, Jade Nightingale is the one who poisoned you once I'm taken away. You'll be left to die, I know you're going to die sooner or later, but you don't want to be killed by Jade, do you? You worked so hard to build your company Alistair Graves, I couldn't make a sound. I was frantic. When the cold handcuffs snapped around my wrist, the only thought in my mind was, it's over, it's over. "Cora Kane, you couldn't beat me before, and you can't beat me now," Jade waved her hand dismissively. I was dragged out of the room like a helpless chick. Just as I had lost all hope, a voice came from behind me. "Wait," a jolt of joy went through me. That was Alistair's voice, he was awake. It didn't matter if he had heard my thoughts or not. As long as he was awake, there was a chance. Chapter 5. Oh my, so scary in the hospital room, Jade Nightingale was the first to play the victim, leaning over Alistair and sobbing. "Alistair, you're finally awake, I was so scared I would never see you again. Thank goodness the police have already figured everything out. It was Cora Kane who poisoned you. I can't believe she could be so vicious out of jealousy. This damn woman is so good at twisting the truth. She was the one who did the poisoning. She was the one who bribed these 2 cops. They didn't even investigate, and now she's saying everything has been figured out, no doubt about it. This big dummy Alistair will believe Jade Nightingale, just like before. Jade has that picture of me secretly adding chili powder to the food. How can I explain it to make Alistair believe I didn't poison him? System, where the hell are you? Get out here and help me, I was starting to feel hopeless. The hard object pressed against the small of my back, I couldn't tell if it was a gun or a knife, was a clear warning not to speak. "It wasn't her," Alistair said, his face pale. "Me, did he hear my thoughts? Is that why he believes me, that I wasn't the one who poisoned him?" Jade stopped crying. "How could it not be her? The police have both a witness and physical evidence. Alistair, you can't be soft-hearted this time. The last time she hurt me, you let her off easy and she managed to escape justice. If you let her go again this time, what will happen? The question came from the end of the hallway, outside the room. I turned to look. Drawing on the original Cora's memories, I recognized the man in the lead as the police commissioner. The two officers beside me immediately let me go. Wow, the police commissioner himself showed up. Now I can finally clear my name. I smiled and walked forward. Before I could say anything to get on his good side, the commissioner spoke first. "Mrs. Graves, you've been through a lot." The commissioner was smiling at me. I was a bit surprised. I looked at him, then back at Alistair in the hospital bed. Could Alistair have called him? As Alistair sat up, he saw the handcuffs on my wrist. His face immediately turned cold. "Old Lee, is this how your jurisdiction operates? You cuff someone before you've even investigated." The commissioner, addressed as Old Lee, waved his hand, and the two officers were immediately apprehended. As the commissioner unlocked my handcuffs, Jade quickly said, "I'm suddenly not feeling well. I'm going to head home." She made a move to leave, but Alistair, who had appeared weak and powerless just moments before, suddenly reached out and grabbed her wrist. "Jade Nightingale, you're not getting away that easily," Alistair said, getting out of bed. His large hand, seemingly not using much force, held her so tightly that no matter how much she struggled, she couldn't break free. "Alistair, what are you doing? Why are you grabbing me? Jade Nightingale, do you really not understand why I'm doing this? You were faking it." When Alistair nodded, Jade's face changed dramatically. With a click, Alistair took the handcuffs from the commissioner and cuffed Jade to the foot of the bed. He then walked over to the windowsill, reached into a potted plant, and pulled out a small video camera. As the recording played, it became clear that before I had even entered the hospital room, Jade was already on the phone, bribing the police to frame me. As for the earlier poisoning incident, there was villa security footage as proof. "Jade Nightingale, do you have anything else to say now?" As Alistair handed the video camera and the USB drive with the villa's security footage to the commissioner, Jade collapsed to the floor like a puppet with its strings cut. "Alistair Graves, you are so cruel. We grew up together. And yet for this little tart, you were willing to risk your own life to lure me into a trap. Yes, I was the one who poisoned the food last night to frame Cora Kane. And last time, I was the one who poisoned myself to frame her. If you want to blame someone, blame her for being the fake heiress who stole my life. My only regret is not killing her with my own hands back then. If I had, she never would have become your wife." Jade Nightingale spat out these words through gritted teeth. Only then did I understand why Alistair hadn't believed me earlier. It was all a deliberate act. He wanted to lure Jade into a trap, putting himself at risk, pretending to believe her, making me apologize, and then making me cook for them, all to give her an opportunity to expose herself and clear the original Cora's name. Ah, what a clever man. I thought he only cared about Jade Nightingale, but it turns out the person he truly cares about is me. What should I do? I want to rush over and kiss him at that moment. The commissioner gave the order. "Jade Nightingale has twice attempted to poison someone. The evidence is conclusive. Take her to the police station for strict processing." Jade was quickly led away. As she passed me, she lunged at me, her hands like claws trying to strangle me. I wasn't going to hold back anymore. Slap, 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 I hit her 3 times across the face, then kicked her hard in the stomach. Did she think that was all? These were the very things she had done to the original Cora. Today, I was returning the favor on Cora's behalf, and I added to it by gripping her neck tightly. "Jade Nightingale, you have your day too." I was ecstatic. It was more than that. It was the original Cora's hatred for her finally being released, the exhilaration of having the false accusations cleared. If Alistair hadn't stopped me in time, I really might have strangled her. Jade was eventually dragged away. Teary-eyed, I threw myself into Alistair's arms. Before I could thank him, his tall frame collapsed onto the hospital bed. "Honey, what's wrong?" I quickly pressed the call button. Jigga's father rushed in. Only then did I learn that while Alistair had successfully trapped Jade, his body had been genuinely poisoned. Fortunately, he had been brought in just in time, and Dr. Zimmerman himself had operated. He had been forcing himself to stay conscious to catch Jade. "Honey, thank you for everything you did for me. I'm sorry I misunderstood you before." I pouted, wanting to kiss him, but Alistair coldly turned his head away. Was he mad at me for misunderstanding him? Well, considering he was injured, I decided not to hold it against him. For the next few days while he was in the hospital, I took care of him with all my heart, hoping to mend our relationship. But Alistair remained cold. He treated me like a servant, making me take care of all his daily needs, while also having his assistants delegate all their work to me. I was a person, not a god. I couldn't simultaneously be a nanny, a chef, a caregiver, and several assistants' high-intensity workload. After 2 weeks, I couldn't take it anymore. Honey, besides misunderstanding you before, did I do something else to make you angry? Tell me, whatever it is, I promise I'll change. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so harsh. On the day he was discharged, Alistair shot me a cold glance. The company is mine, but it's also yours. Since it's our joint marital property, you can't just let me bear the burden alone. Well, he has a point. After Alistair dies, I'll have to learn about the company sooner or later. I'll just think of it as getting to know my inheritance in advance. I buried my head back in my work, not noticing the flash of pain in Alistair's eyes. When you're busy, time flies. By the time I could finally handle everything with ease, 2 months had passed. During this time, I learned that Alistair wasn't as alone as the outside world thought. Although his parents had died in a plane crash when he was young, he had an uncle and 2 maternal uncles. These 3 close relatives had been trying to kill him and take over the company. Jade Nightingale had been so brazen because she was bribed by these 3, all of them plotting against Alistair. The only reason Alistair hadn't made a move against them was because he had promised his parents he would take care of them. This foolish man, so loyal and righteous since childhood. They were plotting to kill him, and he was still honoring his promise. Honey, it's so dangerous around you. If anything were to happen to you, how would I live on my own? I was hinting at him. Either deal with these 3 relatives, or write a will leaving everything to me. Alistair seemed not to understand my meaning. With only 5 months of his life left, if I couldn't inherit his estate, I wouldn't be able to return to my original world. I had no choice but to find news articles about husbands who died in accidents and whose wives were schemed against by relatives until they were left homeless, and show them to him. At first, Alistair used the excuse of being busy to avoid looking at them. Later, I got smarter. I chose to show them to him while we were in the car. One evening, just as the car came to a stop, Alistair threw down the newspaper and pinned me against the seat. Cora Kane, if you want to inherit my estate, you'll have to bear me a child first. I was stunned. Thinking about how he had never touched me before, I felt a wave of smugness. Oh my, so scary, no doubt about it. He's just going to run away at the critical moment again. Is it possible he can't perform? Otherwise, why has he been so hesitant? Chapter 6. Alistair Graves, don't leave me, Cora Kane. You asked for this. Alistair's furious voice boomed from above me. By the time I realized what was happening, he had already pulled off his tie and used it to bind my hands above my head. His large, well-defined hand gave a gentle tug. I looked down. I was in shock. Is he for real this time? No way. We've been married for half a year, and he's never shown any interest in that department. Plus, I'm ovulating right now. I've been craving his body, but I don't want to have a baby he's going to die in 5 months. If I go back to my world with a big belly, my grandma will be furious. Alistair. MMMPH. Before I could say more, Alistair's overwhelming kiss had completely blanked my mind. For the next while, let alone speaking, even breathing was a luxury. It turned out you really could be kissed to the point of suffocation. My lips were numb and swollen. My body was limp and weak. The brooding CEO novels didn't lie. So this is what it feels like. This is more than just getting to my head. Where am I? Who am I? My heart is beating so fast. How am I supposed to calm down? Are you okay? His voice was uncharacteristically gentle, a smile playing on his lips. I stared at the tiny reflection of myself in his dark eyes, my thoughts slowly returning. I had just started to speak when he kissed me again. I widened my eyes and submitted. The next morning, I woke up to Alistair's face right next to mine. The memories of last night flooded my mind like a tidal wave. Oh my God, I did that. With a character from a book, and we didn't use any protection, I quickly sat up, planning to go out and buy the morning after pill, but my movement woke Alistair. His long, powerful arm reached out and pulled me back into his embrace. His hot breath tickled my ear. "The day you get pregnant is the day I write the will Alistair promised." I froze, not daring to move. "If you can't conceive my child within 5 months, I'll donate my entire fortune and leave you a pauper," he threatened. At this point, I still hadn't realized that he could hear my thoughts. All I could think about was satisfying him, getting pregnant quickly so I could get his entire estate, and then taking that massive fortune back to my own world to live a carefree life with my grandma. For 3 consecutive days, he didn't go to the company, and I didn't leave the house. When Jiggy Zimmerman found out that Alistair and I had finally consummated our marriage, she burst out laughing on the phone. "So, how was it? Pretty amazing, right?" Her words sent my mind into the gutter. As I looked up, the first thing I saw was Alistair, fresh from the shower. The double stimulation made my eyes glaze over. Jiggy added, "You silly girl, you should take this opportunity to try out different places, different positions. Don't waste your time on this earth." She's right. Alistair only had less than 5 months left. I had to seize the day. "Honey, the New Year holiday is coming up. Can we go on a trip?" I asked, snuggling up to his arm, my mind filled with indecent images. Okay, Alistair's ears turned red. He was always efficient. He immediately arranged his work schedule for before and after the holiday, and we set off in a white RV with his Persian cat. Strangely, as my relationship with Alistair grew sweeter, his cat became more and more hostile towards me. It used to let me hold and pet it, but now it would hiss at me whenever I got close. They say cats are psychic. Does it know its owner is about to die? Tuanzi, all I can do is make him happy in the time he has left, and after he's gone, I'll burn lots and lots of money for him. I tried to get close to the Persian cat. Tuanzi was incredibly aloof. It swiped at me with its little paws, and as it jumped up to Alistair, it made sure to flick its tail in my face. Its wary gaze made me feel like the Grim Reaper. The sweet days flew by. On the morning of Valentine's Day, I woke up with my head resting on Alistair's arm, my body sore and weak. I was surprised to see a health bar floating above his head. It was a countdown of his life, displaying the number 100 days. It was like a bucket of cold water had been poured over my head. I used the excuse of taking a shower to sob uncontrollably under the running water. So this was what heartbreak felt like. It really did hurt to breathe. Without realizing it, I had fallen deeply in love with him. No woman wants to be separated from the man she loves, but my beloved only had 100 days left to live. "System, get out here, get the hell out here. I don't want to go back to my original world anymore. And I don't want his inheritance, I just want him to be alive, and well, can I trade my life for his?" I thought that by crying in secret, Alistair wouldn't notice. But I didn't know that on the other side of the door, Alistair was so heartbroken that his eyes were red. We were both being childish. I was forcing a smile, and he was pretending not to know, trying to make me happy by cooking all sorts of delicious food for me every day. He would take me to see beautiful landscapes. In moments of passion, he would whisper in my ear, "I don't want an empire anymore. I just want to be with you. What should I do?" Every time he said that, my heart would ache. Alistair Graves, don't leave me. I don't know when I started to rely on him so much. If I woke up and he wasn't there, I would panic and search for him frantically. I would have nightmares, terrified that he would disappear the moment I opened my eyes. Watching the numbers on the health bar above his head decrease day by day filled me with an unprecedented sense of dread. I tried many ways to summon the system, but it wouldn't appear. On the morning, the number on Alistair's health bar changed to 77. A sudden wave of nausea hit me. I covered my mouth and rushed to the bathroom. I gagged several times but didn't throw anything up. Then it hit me. My period, which was always on time, hadn't come for a while, so was I pregnant. I touched my lower abdomen in disbelief, a mix of joy and sadness welling up inside me. Just then, Alistair had the company's legal team prepare his will. A stack of thick documents was placed in front of me. All I had to do was sign, and I would inherit his massive fortune. This was the outcome I had been hoping for, but now I didn't want to face it. No, I'm not signing take it away, take it all away. I naively thought that if I didn't sign, Alistair couldn't give me his inheritance, and he would be fine. But he was getting thinner by the day. I used the excuse of a prenatal checkup to take him to the hospital and have the top medical team give him a full examination. The results came back normal, but the number above his head continued to decrease. In the blink of an eye, it became 66. Only 3 months left, I held back my tears, looking at his nearly 63 frame, now weighing less than 120 pounds. I fought through my morning sickness and prepared all sorts of nutritious meals for him. He ate everything, but his weight continued to drop. Chapter 7. A surprise. The more I wished for time to slow down, the faster it seemed to go. In the blink of an eye, Alistair only had 55 days of life left, and the babies in my belly were just 3 months old. They were twins. Whether they were boys or girls, they were destined never to meet their father. Alistair was also fated not to see the day they were born. The thought sent another sharp pain through my chest. As the kitchen knife in my hand accidentally sliced my index finger, a ding sounded in my head. The familiar voice of the system followed. Host, everyone dies. It's fate, a trial that no one can change. Harming yourself is useless. Harming myself? I stared at my bleeding finger and suddenly had a revelation. Perhaps this elusive, broken system would only appear when my body was harmed. It happened this time, and it happened last time when Alistair was poisoned and I was about to taste the food. The two similar experiences suggested that the system and I might have a symbiotic relationship where we both flourished or perished together. To test this theory, I waited for Alistair to leave, then locked the doors and windows tightly. I turned on the gas, faking a suicide attempt. The system panicked. Host, wake up, wake up. I'm not waking up. The man I love is about to die anyway. I don't want any inheritance, and I don't want to go back to my original world. I just want to die with him. After saying that, I immediately closed my eyes. The system was frantic. You absolutely can't do this, my dear, good host. Once you get his inheritance, you can have any man you want. You don't have to hang yourself on this one tree. Besides, if you really can't forget him, you can just find someone to get plastic surgery to look like him. With money, you can make anything happen. The system was no longer arrogant, but was now earnestly trying to persuade me not to take my own life. I suddenly sat up. Tell me, you have a way to save him, don't you? No, don't even think about it. I don't know anything. Cora Kane, you're on your own. The system then vanished. No matter how I tried to harm myself after that, the system didn't reappear. For the next week, I dreamt of my grandma every night. Alistair and I had similar tragic childhoods. My parents also died early, and it was my elderly grandmother who raised me. In my dreams, my grandma was sick, very sick, and needed a lot of money. She kept calling my name, telling me to hurry back. The broken system knew my weakness well. I knew it was testing me, forcing me to choose between Alistair and my grandma. I loved them both. It was an impossible choice. To keep Alistair from noticing that I was starving myself, I would urge him to go to the company, and when he came home from work, I would tell him I had already eaten. I went without food or water for 5 days. On the 6th day, the system, unable to do anything about me, sighed and said, "Why did I have to be bound to such a troublesome host? You could have just treated it as a mission, completed the walkthrough, and returned to your world as a rich woman. Why all this drama?" I replied weakly. How can I save him? Every morning, seeing the number on Alistair's health bar decrease was like a slow, torturous death for me. If I could, I would willingly die in his place. The strange thing was, the medical team couldn't find anything wrong with him. The system finally exploded with frustration. I've heard that doing good deeds can change one's fate. I'm not sure if it's true, but you might as well give it a try as a last resort. I knew the system had done its best. When Alistair came home from work, I persuaded him to donate half of his assets to help patients who couldn't afford medical treatment. We also donated to left-behind children in remote mountain areas and to nearby temples. I did everything I could that was considered a good deed. I heard that making a wish on a snowy plateau was very effective. So I pestered Alistair to go with me to a snowy plateau. In a sacred hall, I prayed that I could exchange my life for his. Every time I did this, Alistair would hold me tightly and not let go. The day we returned to Port Sterling from the remote snowy plateau, Alistair only had 10 days of life left. I wished I could spend all 24 hours of the day with him. But when it rains, it pours. Alistair's uncle and two maternal uncles started causing trouble. They instigated shareholders to withdraw their shares and were preparing to leave the Graves Group to start their own company. They took not only capital, but also technology and clients. Overnight, the Graves Group was on the verge of collapse. Alistair couldn't just sit back and watch. He had to leave me to work overtime at the company, attending meetings. I went for the 4D ultrasound by myself. Everything went well. It was a pair of fraternal twins, a boy and a girl. Before I could share the good news with Alistair, his uncle, Vincent Graves, bribed my driver. The driver sped all the way to Vincent. "Cora Kane," Vincent said directly, "if you give up your inheritance of all of Alistair Graves's assets, I can spare your life and the life of the child in your belly." He was trying to harm Alistair. Of course, it doesn't matter if you don't agree. The signal here is blocked. You won't be able to contact Alistair for the rest of your life. Vincent intended to keep me under long-term house arrest. I was already 6 months pregnant, and Alistair's life was on a countdown. My purse and phone had long since been taken by Vincent. A direct confrontation was pointless. After all, Vincent was so cold-blooded that he was willing to harm his own nephew. "Second uncle, have you ever considered that I could persuade Alistair to transfer all his assets and the company to you?" I was trying to buy time. Vincent quickly understood my intention. "No wonder Alistair insisted on marrying you. You're a clever one, you know how to sacrifice wealth to avoid disaster. As long as you don't hurt him and are willing to let us go, I can give you anything you want, and I can cooperate with you. I would rather live a simple, ordinary life with him than a life of luxury." I just wanted to see Alistair one last time. Vincent had always been arrogant. It wasn't that he wasn't cautious, but he was convinced that a helpless, pregnant woman like me couldn't possibly outsmart him. Besides, Alistair was too busy to deal with this right now. "Very well. I want you to divorce Alistair Graves." Vincent pinched my chin. "This is your initial test. If you can do it within 24 hours, he won't have to die." "Okay," I agreed without hesitation. I had no choice. Alistair only had 3 days left to live. I couldn't afford to gamble. I had to see him one last time, no matter what. Vincent attached a miniature bomb to me. If I made any wrong moves, he would detonate it. The driver accompanied me to see Alistair. He was so busy that he didn't notice anything was wrong with me. He just said, "Be good. Go home and wait for me. I'll try to be back early tonight." "I'll wait for you, Alistair Graves. I'll always wait for you." I sat in the car, afraid to move. Watching Alistair walk away, my heart was bleeding. "Honey, your second uncle is trying to harm you. He wants to take all your assets. I'm going to ask for a divorce tonight. Please don't get upset. It's just a tactic. You have to stay calm. Honey, the company is just a thing. Nothing is more important than being alive." I closed my eyes in agony. The driver, who was in the front seat, had just turned the car around to head back to the villa when Alistair, who had already entered the Graves Group building, suddenly turned back. "Cora Kane, do you want a divorce?" Alistair suddenly asked. From an angle the driver couldn't see, Alistair's handsome eyes gave a quick wink. I froze. Even now, I still didn't know that Alistair could hear my thoughts. Until he said, "Nothing is more important than being alive, right?" Only then did it dawn on me. "Honey, you can hear me." Alistair gave an imperceptible nod. My heart soared. I was so excited I could barely speak. "Honey, I have a bomb on me. If you don't agree to divorce me, your uncle will blow me and the baby up. Also, the driver works for Vincent Graves." "I know." Alistair opened the car door and said, with a hidden meaning, "The company is in crisis right now. I have no choice but to divorce you. Come to my office to sign the papers and we'll process it immediately." The driver wasn't suspicious at all. He thought I was just scared and wanted to live a simple life, which was why I was cooperating with Vincent. He reminded me gently, "Ma'am, I'll wait for you in the car." "Okay." As I got out of the car, Alistair wrapped his arm around my waist. While the driver was turning the car around, he quickly disarmed the bomb and threw it into the car. By the time the driver realized what was happening, there was a loud boom and the car exploded. Thank God. If Alistair hadn't been able to hear my thoughts and reacted so quickly, I would have been blown to pieces. Chapter 8. Honey, wake up. As I celebrated my narrow escape, a sad thought occurred to me. Since Alistair could hear my thoughts, he must have known about his impending death and my original reason for marrying him. To put it bluntly, Vincent Graves and I were essentially the same. We were both after Alistair's money. The only difference was that I had never intended to harm him. This made me feel so guilty that I couldn't look him in the eye. Just then, Vincent's call came through. Of course, he wasn't calling me, but Alistair. Alistair Graves, you've gotten yourself into trouble, you know that? How dare you commit murder in broad daylight? Just wait for the police to come knocking. Vincent hung up. He was referring to the driver who had just died in the explosion. My breath hitched. Vincent was so calculating. If I had successfully divorced Alistair, he, as one of Alistair's relatives, would be in a position to inherit his estate if anything happened to him. If I failed, he still wouldn't lose. Because Alistair was the CEO of the Graves Group. Being taken away by the police at a time when the company was already on shaky ground would still create a situation he could exploit. No matter what happened, it was a win-win for Vincent. Honey, you were acting in self-defense. You should go, quickly I'll stay and explain, I pushed at Alistair, trying to get him to leave. But just then, police cars came speeding towards us, sirens wailing. They had received a tip from the public that Alistair Graves had committed murder in broad daylight and had dispatched officers to investigate. Without a doubt, the informant was Vincent Graves. When the police stopped and asked Alistair to cooperate and come to the station to give a statement, I saw that the health bar above his head showed only 2 days left. He didn't kill anyone, it was self-defense. I stood in front of Alistair, my large belly protruding, and explained how Vincent had kidnapped me and planted a bomb on me. Even so, the police still insisted on taking Alistair away, saying that if their investigation confirmed it was self-defense, they would bring him back. I was on the verge of a breakdown. Alistair and I only had 48 hours left together. How long would their investigation take? 2 days? 5 days? A week? By the time they brought him back, would he still be alive? With tears in my eyes, I pleaded with the police. If you have to take him, then take me with you, I want to be with him. My request wasn't unreasonable. As one of the people involved in the case, I was obligated to cooperate with the police. However, because I was pregnant, regulations stated that I didn't have to go to the station. Honey, let me stay with you. Our family should always be together, no matter where we are. Honey, all right. Alistair helped me into the police car. We held hands, our fingers intertwined, not wanting to waste a single second. The 2 babies in my belly seemed to sense something and started kicking, trying to get Alistair's attention. The investigation process was tedious. Vincent had deleted a lot of surveillance footage, which made things difficult for the police. Alistair and I had to spend the night at the police station. It was a summer night, with countless stars twinkling in the sky. I leaned against Alistair, gazing at the vast expanse of stars, unable to pretend to be happy any longer. I asked him sadly, "Will you forget me?" Alistair's reply was firm. "No." Tears welled up in my eyes. "Will you become a star?" Alistair replied, "Maybe." Tears streamed down my face, so he really did know he was going to die soon. Honey, I don't regret meeting you in this world at all. Being married to you, every day we've spent together, will be the motivation that keeps me going. I couldn't hide it anymore. I told him the secret that I had transmigrated into this world from a book. Alistair wasn't surprised. He kissed my forehead and said softly, "When I first started hearing your thoughts, I thought I was going crazy. Later, when I realized it was your inner voice, I was very happy. Don't be sad for me. This is my fate. That's why I wanted you to have a child. With a child by your side, you won't be too lonely after I'm gone." Alistair was rarely so sentimental. His words were like daggers piercing my heart. So his forcing me to have a child was because he didn't want me to be lonely. He had already prepared for his early death back then. I couldn't imagine how he had come to accept it so calmly. "Honey, I love you." I didn't get to finish. The door was opened. The police had caught Vincent Graves. Besides kidnapping me and trying to take over the Graves Group, he was also implicated in an accident from many years ago, the one that caused the death of Alistair's parents. They asked Alistair to come and listen to the interrogation. I was no longer a party to the case, so I couldn't go with him. I had to wait in the room for him to return. As Alistair stood up, the health bar above his head showed 8 hours remaining. This concerned his parents' death. I couldn't stop him. I had no right to. "Honey, I'll wait for you here. Come back soon," I said, gazing at his face. Alistair understood what I meant and nodded slowly. We both thought it would only take an hour or two, and then we could be together again. But unexpectedly, Alistair suddenly collapsed. The health bar above his head had vanished. Just a moment ago, it said 8 hours. How could it disappear in the blink of an eye? Get a doctor, quick. Honey, wake up, you can't just leave me and the baby like this. Alistair Graves, the scene descended into chaos. An ambulance rushed Alistair away. I sat beside him. With no other way to harm myself, I bit down hard on my tongue, trying to summon the system to explain what was happening. But even as I tasted blood, the broken system didn't appear. Alistair was rushed to the emergency room. The medical team I had hired at great expense was there, but they still couldn't determine the cause of his collapse. The only saving grace was that his heart was still beating. Honey, are you tired? Do you want to sleep for a while? It's okay, the baby and I will stay by your side. You have to remember to wake up, honey. You wouldn't just leave without saying goodbye, would you? Oh God, please, let him wake up, please. The baby and I can't live without him. I don't want to go back to my original world, okay? I don't want the inheritance. I don't want my grandma. I don't want any of it. I would even trade my own life for him to wake up, I begged over and over again. Soon, 8 hours had passed. Alistair's once rosy complexion had turned deathly pale. I could no longer feel his heartbeat. On the monitor beside him, the line was about to go flat. My mind went blank. I couldn't believe Alistair was dying just like that. Beep, the alarm sounded. The line went flat. It meant that Alistair's life had come to an end. Impossible, please. Try to save him again. Use the defibrillator. Do CPR, please. I'm begging you. Even though I had known this day would come, I still couldn't accept it. I begged the doctors to try again. Just one more try. Maybe a miracle would happen. The medical team couldn't bear to see me so heartbroken. Even though they knew there was little hope, they comforted me. Mrs. Graves, don't worry. We won't give up. I knew they were just trying to console me as they continued the resuscitation efforts. I stared at the monitor. The line that represented the path of life remained flat without any fluctuation. Mrs. Graves, we did everything we could. Our condolences. Mrs. Graves, you're still pregnant. Please try not to be too sad. The medical team tried to comfort me. I stood there like a wooden doll, motionless. My mind was filled with memories of my time with Alistair. Actually, the one who should have died wasn't him, but me. This year I had spent in the book was a life I had stolen. Was it my appearance that had caused his early death? I touched my bulging belly, wanting to take the baby and go with him. Host, look at the monitor. The broken system's voice suddenly rang out. Chapter 9, push the flat line on the monitor changed. There were fluctuations. Alistair wasn't dead, he was still alive. Doctor, quick. I leaned over the hospital bed, too excited to speak. The entire medical team was stunned. How is this possible? Normally, if the heart has stopped for more than half an hour, death is confirmed. How could his heartbeat resume? The key is that it resumed on its own after we had stopped resuscitation. It's unbelievable. But why is there no brainwave activity? 2 hours later, after repeated examinations and diagnoses by a group of senior medical experts, it was confirmed that Alistair was indeed alive, but in a vegetative state. When he would wake up, or if he would ever wake up, was unknown. For me, this news was still a reason to be happy. The broken system also breathed a sigh of relief. See, doing good deeds works. Alistair's life was clearly at its end, yet a surprise happened. Congratulations, host. Since he can hear your thoughts, you should talk to him as much as possible before you leave this world. Maybe another miracle will happen. When exactly would I leave this world? The broken system vanished again. Money was the last thing Alistair lacked. I immediately hired the medical team at a high price to monitor his condition around the clock. I was the only one who could attend Vincent Graves's trial. Vincent couldn't accept his sentence. He shouted that he was innocent and wanted to appeal. I sneered, go ahead and appeal. Let's see if you can win. Vincent would never know that the 2 lead detectives on this case were Alistair's best friends from college. Alistair had done them a great favor in the past. Their ultimate goal was to bring justice to Alistair and his parents. With this connection, I barely had to worry about Vincent. I just needed to wait for the results at the hospital. It was another clear night. I stood by the window, gazing at the vast night sky, reminiscing about my time with Alistair. It was brief but unforgettable. I was grateful to have met him. I walked to the hospital bed, took his hand, and placed it on my belly, letting him feel the baby's playful kicks. Alistair was like a sleeping man, with no reaction to the outside world. I never went back to the villa. From the day Alistair collapsed, I had been living in the hospital room. Wherever he was, that was home. Honey, the baby kicked me again. They're so naughty. What should we name them? Honey, when you wake up, I have a secret to tell you, honey. You still owe me a grand wedding. I really want to wear a wedding dress and marry you. If you don't wake up, I'm going to take the baby and marry someone else. Honey, I'm due in 8 weeks. Honey, the company crisis is over. Vincent Graves's appeal failed. I heard he's going to appeal again. I think he's dreaming. Honey, it's Valentine's Day again today. Can you please wake up? I'm giving birth in 3 weeks. The baby will be born in 2 weeks. If you don't wake up, you'll miss their birth. Honey, wake up, honey. I'm having contractions. The doctor recommends a natural birth. With a cry of surprise, I felt a warm gush of fluid. An obstetrician exclaimed, "Quick, lie down, the pregnant woman's water has broken, get ready for delivery." A nurse brought a wheelchair. I looked at the motionless Alistair on the hospital bed, enduring the pain of the contractions. Honey, I'm going to have our 2 babies. I'll be back to be with you later. Honey, I'm actually a little scared. I wish you could be here with me. It hurts so much, so much, so much. Breathe in, breathe out, push, push harder, the obstetrician shouted. I was on the delivery bed, following her instructions, pushing with all my might. As the first cry of a baby rang out, the broken system appeared again. Host, when the second baby is born, that will be the time for you to leave. I was stunned just as I was about to protest. Another contraction hit. Push, quick push. The doctor's urgent voice filled me with mixed emotions. I had been looking forward to the arrival of my babies, but I didn't want to leave this place. This is bad. The mother is hemorrhaging. Prepare for emergency resuscitation. Get her on oxygen. The doctors were in a frenzy. Some were delivering the baby, others were trying to save me. Although I was still pushing on the delivery bed, I could no longer feel any pain. Another cry. The second baby was born. As the doctor brought the baby to me, I tried to reach out and touch my child, but my fingers passed right through the baby's body, and I slowly began to float upwards me. My soul has left my body. The one being resuscitated on the delivery bed is just the original Cora Kane's body. No, let me go back. I want to go back into Cora Kane's body. I struggled, trying to get closer to the bed. It was as if an invisible barrier was preventing me from getting close. The system's voice sounded again. Host, your time is up. You need to go back quickly, or your body in the other world will die completely. I froze. So, in the other world, I'm not dead yet. That's right, the system's words brought me both joy and sorrow. Looking at the medical staff who were still trying to save Cora, I floated over to the babies. The older one was a boy, wrinkled like a little old man. With just one look, I could tell he was a carbon copy of Alistair. The younger one was a girl, with my features. They were the continuation of my life and Alistair's, the fruit of our love. I wanted to touch them, to kiss them, but I couldn't. The resuscitation efforts on the delivery bed had ended. The doctor announced, "The patient, Cora Kane, is brain dead due to massive blood loss." My mind went blank. I was dead. No, Cora Kane was dead. How sad would Alistair be when he woke up to this news? And the newborn twins, now without a mother. I didn't have time to grieve. Someone suddenly burst in through the door. It was Jade Nightingale. "You too, take the babies away, quickly." Jade glanced at the body on the delivery bed and sneered. "Cora Kane, I told you, you can't beat me. From today on, the 2 children you gave your life for will be my servants when I raise them. They will work for me. As for Alistair, maybe he'll wake up, maybe he won't. It all depends on my mood. You have to accept all of this, whether you like it or not." Ha 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 ha, Jade laughed triumphantly and slapped the older baby. "Cora Kane, are you completely dead yet? You must not be. How does it feel? Does it hurt?" "This is just the beginning." Jade, like a madwoman, started pinching the older baby until his little face turned purple. After torturing the older one, she moved on to the younger one. Hearing my 2 babies cry, my heart was torn to shreds. My soul floated in midair, screaming in agony. "Jade Nightingale, you dare to abuse my children. I won't let you go even as a ghost. Alistair, please, wake up." I cried out in despair. I felt a powerful suction from all directions, like a giant magnet, pulling my floating soul towards the window. I struggled to change direction, but my soul was already uncontrollably fading and shrinking. In the end, I was like a speck of dust, drifting away. Chapter 10. Honey, I'm back. When I opened my eyes again, I heard my grandma's excited voice. Cora, my Cora is finally awake, doctor. Cora's awake, my grandma, nearly 80 years old, hobbled out to call the doctor, leaning on her cane. I slowly sat up. I was no longer a disembodied soul, but a real, physical body. I was wearing the soft cotton pajamas my grandma had made for me. Unlike the world in the book, outside, firecrackers and fireworks were going off. The people in this world were celebrating the new year. That year of my life in the book felt like a distant dream. No one would believe me if I told them. It was also the source of my heartache. The broken system said, "Host, congratulations on successfully returning to your original world. My mission is also complete, and I must bid you farewell. I hope you cherish the days to come. Forget about the world in the book." How can I forget? How could I possibly forget? My husband is there, my children are there. They are my lifelong concern. I can't forget, especially Jade Nightingale. She must die a horrible death. I was filled with hatred. I wanted to ask the system if there was a way back, but it hastily said, "Goodbye forever," and disappeared. The occasional ringing in my ears was gone, and my mind felt clear. There was a sharp pain in my chest. Tears streamed down my face, landing on the back of my hand. Just then, I heard footsteps outside. The first person to rush in was a doctor, my classmate, Dr. Evan Shaw. He looked at me with excitement. "Cora, you're finally awake. You can't stay up all night anymore. You were lucky this time. You have to learn your lesson." Evan pulled me into a hug. Just as I was about to push him away, I suddenly heard a voice. "Let go of my wife." That was Alistair's voice. Was I hearing things? I froze in place. A ding sounded in my head. It was the system's voice again. "Host, this is your extra reward for all the good deeds you've done. From now on, even though you and Alistair are in two different worlds, you can communicate through your thoughts." For the first time, I found the system to be quite endearing. "Thank you. It's rare for you to do something nice. I'll remember this favor," I said out loud. It was a response to the system, but Evan thought I was thanking him. He smiled happily. "So, will you marry me?" I froze. Before I could refuse, Evan was already on one knee. "Cora, give me a chance to take care of you and your grandma. Don't worry, I'll find a way to prolong your grandma's life." Evan then took out a ring. My focus was on the last part of his sentence. "Prolong my grandma's life. What do you mean?" "During the year you were in a coma, your grandma sold all her assets to save you, even selling her blood. Due to long-term malnutrition and exhaustion, she developed pancreatic cancer." Evan's words broke my heart. Just then, a nurse helped my grandma into the room. My grandma, who was once 53, was now skin and bones, weighing less than 70 pounds. A smile creased her wrinkled face. I knew she was trying to put me at ease, not wanting me to worry about her. How could I not? "Grandma," I struggled to get out of bed, but my newly awakened body wouldn't allow it. Evan told me to rest well and to think about his proposal. I was certain I wouldn't marry him. I forced myself to eat and worked hard on my recovery, hoping to get well soon so I could take care of my grandma. But before the New Year's festivities were even over, my grandma fell ill. Alistair reminded me, "Cora, feel free to use the money in the bank card. Get the best doctors for your grandma." "Honey, thank you." I checked my mobile banking app and saw a long string of zeros. I couldn't even count how much money there was. In any case, I hired the best doctors for my grandma. My grandma held my hand. "Cora, I'm not going to make it. I've completed the task your mother gave me." "Good girl, you've finally grown up. I can finally go see your grandpa. Don't be sad. You waking up is the best ending. Otherwise, I wouldn't have the face to see your mother, nor could I go be with your grandpa. This is good. Be good, you have to be good." My grandma's trembling hand took a box from her pocket. "The bracelet inside is from your mother. Keep it safe, you have to be good." My grandma passed away with a smile on her face. Her funeral was held quickly, and she was buried that same night. The early spring breeze was supposed to be warm, but I couldn't feel it. In this lonely world, thinking of all my relatives, I wanted to ask God why he had to treat me this way. On the day of the Consummating festival, I wore the bracelet my mother had left me and sat quietly in front of my grandma's tombstone. I heard Alistair's voice again. "Cora, don't be sad. The dead can't be brought back. Your grandma has gone to be with your grandpa. I nodded. Cora, I really want to be by your side. A tear rolled down my cheek. Honey, are you awake? Do you know our children were born? Jade Nightingale took them. She's going to abuse them. I'm trapped. I can't get out and I can't wake up. Alistair was frantic. That night I had a dream. I dreamt that I had returned to the world of the book and after much hardship, finally found my 2 babies. The sadness of the dream only intensified my longing in the real world. I rejected Evan's proposal. He was understanding. Cora, your grandma just passed away. I know this is not a good time to bring this up, but I'll wait for you. Don't. I already have a husband. I love him very much. Thank you for your feelings, but you'll meet a better girl. Even if I could never return to Alistair's side, he was the only one in my heart. Spring came and winter went. Another year on the anniversary of her death, I came to my grandma's tombstone early. My grandma loved pineapple. I specifically chose a large, fragrant pineapple. With a peeling knife in hand, I slowly peeled off the tough skin. Grandma, don't worry, I'm doing well, Ouch, in a moment of carelessness, I cut my finger. Bright red blood flowed down my finger, into my palm, and then quickly down my wrist. I was about to grab a tissue to wipe it off when the bracelet on my wrist suddenly emitted a bright light. The light was incredibly dazzling. Before I could close my eyes, I felt a wave of heat, and everything went black. When I opened my eyes again, believe it or not, I had appeared out of thin air in Alistair's hospital room. At first, I thought it was a dream. After slapping myself twice, I confirmed that I had transmigrated again, back to the world I had been longing for. The man in front of me was still asleep. I opened my mouth, excited. Honey, I'm back, Alistair, who had been lying motionless on the bed, moved his fingers. My love, I've finally been waiting for you. It was the bracelet your mother left you. It sensed your longing for me and the children and brought us together. Hearing this, I raised my wrist. The bracelet was gone. All that was left was a faint pink scar, like the kind you get after slitting your wrists, a reminder that a bracelet had once been there. They say that the end of science is metaphysics. I think the strange events that have happened to me cannot be explained by science. Honey, I'm back. Can you wake up, please? I walked over and kissed Alistair's lips, a deep and lingering kiss. To my surprise, he responded. Don't tell me that just because I'm back, he can wake up too. Yes, the thought was Alistair's. My excitement was matched by the ferocity of my kiss. I wanted to hold him tight and never let go. The medical team soon received the news. After a thorough examination, all of Alistair's vitals were normal. How he had woken up was a mystery no one could solve. They were even more surprised by my sudden appearance. If it weren't for the fact that it was broad daylight and I had a shadow, they probably would have mistaken me for a ghost. Hess, I may not be a ghost, but I would become a vengeful spirit to make sure Jade Nightingale met a terrible end. Chapter 11. The end luring Jade Nightingale out was easy. All I had to do was leak the news of Alistair's awakening to the media. Of course, I added a little detail: amnesia. That way, Jade would surely come running to the hospital with the children, claiming they were hers. 2 years ago, when Vincent Graves was arrested, Alistair's 3 executive assistants had already managed to stabilize the company. Today, the Graves group was more prosperous than ever. Jade had always been a social climber, desperate to marry into a wealthy family. With Alistair's amnesia, she would never miss such a golden opportunity. Before it was even dark, Alistair's phone rang. It was Jade. Her voice was soft and gentle. Honey, I just wrapped up a movie. I'm on my way home. I'll bring our children to see you at the hospital. Oh, I almost forgot. The doctor said you have amnesia. I'm sure you haven't forgotten me and the children. See you soon, honey. Moi. She truly was a newly crowned Best Actress. The lies flowed so easily, without a single flaw. Alistair just grunted in response, and then told me to disguise myself as a nurse and stay in the room. An hour later, Jade arrived. The 2 nannies behind her were each holding a child. With just one glance, I knew they weren't my Leo and Stella. I remembered clearly that both my son and daughter had a small mole near their temples. Was Jade trying to keep a backup plan? Desperate to see my children, I had no time to play games with her. I pulled out the scalpel hidden in my sleeve and pressed it against her neck. Talk, where are my Leo and Stella? As I spoke, Alistair blocked the 2 nannies at the door. Only then did Jade realize she had been tricked. She looked at me in disbelief. You're Cora Kane? I sneered. That's right. It's me, Jade Nightingale. Your time is up. I've come back to claim your life. With that, I pressed the scalpel harder. A line of red appeared on Jade's neck, but she wasn't scared at all. She said calmly, "Good thing I had a backup plan. Cora Kane, I don't care how you managed to survive. Your children are in my hands. If you don't want anything to happen to them, you'd better let me go, Hess." I wasn't an idiot. With my children in her hands, she had me by my weakness. But since I had dared to lure her here, I had to have a hold on her weakness as well. The parents who had raised me were decent to me before Jade came back. But after her return, they treated me with utter contempt. If Jade hadn't taken my children, I would have spared them, out of respect for the years they had raised me. But they had only Jade to blame for their fate. I turned to Alistair. "Honey, give her the tablet." The video playing on the tablet showed Jade's parents tied up on a boat. If Jade didn't hand over the children, they would both die. "Cora Kane, you dare?" Jade was furious and tried to struggle, but I kicked her in the stomach. Remembering how she had abused Leo and Stella, I threw down the scalpel and wrapped my hands around her neck. Of course, I wasn't going to kill her. I would squeeze for a while, then release, making sure she experienced the feeling of suffocation. "Want to call the police?" The video of her kidnapping my children 2 years ago was now in the hands of the police, with Alistair's classmate in charge of the case. As long as I didn't kill her, they would let me vent my anger as I pleased. So why would I hold back? Finally, Jade, broken by the torture, gave in. I'll talk, Cora Kane. I'll give you back your children, and you let my parents go. We'll see." I needed to see the condition of my children first. Jade was still hesitating. In the video, the tide was rising, about to engulf her parents. Jade had no choice but to reveal the children's whereabouts. Alistair immediately contacted his assistants and sent them to rescue the children. They were in an orphanage in the city next to Port Sterling. My Leo and Stella were brought back, safe and sound. They had bruises on their bodies and were thin and frail, clear signs of malnutrition. I let Jade's parents go, but I made Jade suffer 10 times, 100 times more than what my children had endured. By the time the police took her away, she was a wreck of a human being. "Cora Kane, you will die a horrible death, I curse you to hell," Jade screamed. I whispered something to the police officer. That night, Jade was thrown into solitary confinement. She was afraid of the dark, and even more afraid of ghosts. That night, the sound of ghostly wails would be her only companion. I heard she was so scared she wet herself. She liked to steal other people's husbands, didn't she? Fine. I pulled some strings and had her transferred to a men's prison. Ha, it was full of other people's husbands. And they had been hungry for a long time. Now Jade could enjoy her happy days with all the men she could ever want. Of course, even if she didn't want them, she had no choice. For the rest of her life, she would have to endure it, whether she wanted to or not. Leo and Stella were shy around me. It took me almost 3 months to get them to trust and rely on me. It was another sweltering summer. The 2 once skinny little babies, under my careful care, slowly became cheerful and healthy. Mommy, hug. Stella had learned to be affectionate. Leo would stick out his tongue. "Shame on you, you're 3 years old and still asking for mommy's hug." "I don't ask for mommy's hug. I want to go to school." That's right, Leo and Stella were old enough for kindergarten. September was the start of the school year. Alistair and I discussed it and decided to name our son Leo Graves and our daughter Stella Graves. After the 2 little ones started school, Alistair handed over the company's affairs to his assistants, and we began our shameless life as a couple. Sometimes, the sun would be high in the sky, and we would still be entangled in bed. Other times, it would be on a mountaintop under the open sky, or in a deserted garden late at night, or in a spacious car. I love you. After 3 years, I finally had the chance to say those words. Strangely, from the day Alistair woke up, we could no longer hear each other's thoughts. Although it was a little disappointing, it didn't matter. At least we were both well. Alistair had recently started planning the wedding he owed me. With the 2 children in kindergarten and the company taken care of, we had plenty of time to prepare. From the wedding dress to the jewelry, Alistair designed everything himself. He also personally arranged all the wedding details, the bridal chamber, and so on. I was happy to be idle. I would either have tea and go shopping with Jiggy Zimmerman or go to the kindergarten to see how my 2 babies were doing. The wedding was set for Valentine's Day. I had no elders in this world, and neither did Alistair, so we invited his teacher to officiate the wedding. The long-lost broken system actually appeared at this moment. My dear host, congratulations on finally getting your happy ending with Alistair Graves. From now on, you will have no chance to return to your original world. You will remain in this book until you die. Are you willing? I rolled my eyes. Isn't that obvious? The system continued, of course, as a price for staying, you will have a fertile constitution. Be careful to use protection. Ha 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 ha. This time, the system disappeared for good. Before the wedding night even began, I was already experiencing morning sickness. This time, it wasn't twins, but triplets. At 3 months, my belly was as big as a 5 or 6 month pregnancy. By 7 or 8 months, it was frighteningly large. Alistair was on edge every day, terrified that something would happen to me. I ate and drank as usual. On a windy summer evening, I gave birth to 3 naughty boys for Alistair. Having learned our lesson from the system, we were extra careful afterwards. But unfortunately, even with double protection, I got pregnant again. Alistair, having had enough, went and had surgery. Even so, he was still incredibly cautious, afraid that a single slip-up would result in me giving him a few more troublesome boys. Our family had one thing in common. We all loved to look at the stars. They say that the brightest star in the night sky is the one you miss the most. Gazing at the star-filled sky, I thought that they were all my relatives, and that even though we were far apart, they could surely see my happy life now. The end.